So I'm going to just briefly introduce Bojan. I've known Bojan for quite some time. He is a brilliant CTO and founder of a company called goUrban from Austria. And I take it sitting in Austria right now. Is that right, Bojan?
Exactly, from Vienna, but right now I'm in Dubai, actually visiting one of our customers.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that you're traveling again. So I'm going to let you take it away from here. Go ahead and feel free to share your screen and do as well to present. Give you 10, 15 minutes or so, and then we'll jump into some Q&A.
Welcome. Also, thanks also for joining the breakout room with goUrban. Like Nick said, we've been in contact now for a while, and when he asked me that we should present also at this workshop, it's a good opportunity to get a bit out of Europe actually, and also get a bit the opinions from overseas on the whole on our company. So what is goUrban? What have we actually been working on? So the problem that we've identified is the mobility, and especially the last mile mobility. The solutions are exploding on the market. We've seen only in the last 10 years, 15 years, car sharing being invented with Car2Go, Share Now being now on the streets, and many more. We've seen city bike systems going on the streets. We've seen kick scooters starting to kick in 3 years ago. So we see like steadily this change, this transformation in mobility, where the whole movement is going away from owning a vehicle actually, but the whole market is transforming to mobility as a service. So you get always the vehicle that you need at the right time for the purpose you need it. And additionally, we've also seen in the beginning that the pandemic actually just started even accelerating more and more this whole process as the city started experimenting more with infrastructure projects, being more open-minded to test out new things. So this is also a trend that we've seen in the past couple of months and last year. And yet on the other side, you have all these new mobility operators coming on the street like Bird, Lime, and even many more smaller and mid-sized, who are all actually kind of reinventing the wheel. So they're building the 1000th customer management system, rental management system, and that's up huge R&D costs and doesn't really increase the IP for these companies. The solution that we've built an operating system for shared mobility to allow these mobility operators to regain the focus again on the core of the business, and by creating like a real ecosystem with a marketplace solution and tools, we want to become the Android of mobility. What does this mean? An operator basically gets all technology that he needs to run such a fleet, and it's also very flexible so that he can really decide in which technology he wants to build in-house, and then he simply builds on top. For example, we provide customer management system, vehicle management system, and so on, and he can then build, for example, a user demand forecasting system to understand where to place.
Make breakfast for me. We're making breakfast.
Sorry?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Continue.
Cool. And the vision that we have with this operating system, we want to empower mobility service providers to design the mobility of tomorrow with our tech. The product itself, it's like I've said before, we provide all the technology they need to run their business. So we can give them everything they need to do customer support, to do proper fleet management, to make sure that the vehicles on the streets are always charged, to make sure they're in a good shape, to always know where they are. So therefore, they have a dashboard for the administration part, doing the back office work. They get even optionally, either they build by themselves an application and just use our APIs, or they get from us a white label app. They get maintenance tools for the service workers on the streets to know how to swap batteries, organize, optimize the fleet. And the special part about the maintenance tools, and I will tell it a bit later more about it in our go-to-market strategy, is that it can also be a standalone application. So we can also attach the maintenance tools to other platforms or existing platforms. And last but not least, we can also provide IoT and connectivity for the vehicles, because an operator, of course, he decides to get a kick scooter, but this kick scooter has to be operatable in a sharing. So you need to have it connected, but you also need to send commands to see the status of the vehicle and more. We have a typical SaaS business model. So we're charging, we're generating a monthly recurring revenue. We're charging per vehicle per month on the platform. And additionally, we have this fragmentation, that we have an operating system where we charge this fee. And then on the left side, we have our tools. You can imagine it a bit like with Android. So there's Android as an operating system. And on the left side, our goUrban tools are like the G Suite from Google. So we have their maintenance tools, business insights, and so on, where the operator pays additionally for using them. On the right side, you can see the marketplace, where we have various third parties integrated. For example, payment gateways like Adyen, Stripe, and many more, because of course the operator also needs to charge its users when they're taking rides with kick scooters, mopeds, bikes, or cars. And when they are taking these trips and they're getting charged, we're also getting a referral fee, for example, from Adyen for every transaction made over our platform. The market size itself, we've looked, and like the important thing about the market size itself is on the one side, we have micromobility, we have car sharing systems, but there's way more out in the fleet management, because what we've also encountered is that this trend of sharing, we are very utilization driven, because everything is about a vehicle should get as many rentals as possible. And therefore, that's also what we see. We see a big difference to traditional fleet management, where it was more about cost transparency and how to optimize costs. And this is where we see a big advantage with our platform, and where we can also, sorry. Do you still see my screen?
Yes.
Sorry, it was like an interruption. Okay, sorry. So the market size. So basically, there's also we see that more there in the market, like the whole fleet management, that was very transparency driven instead of utilization driven, where we can also bring a lot of optimization from the shared mobility world that we see with kick scooters and everything else, also to traditional fleet management. This is how we also evaluated the market, where we've looked the whole market size for software expenses in managed fleets. Then we've looked into the shared fleets, so car pools, for example, at companies, but also micromobility and car sharing and more, and have set our goal of market share in the next 7 years. Exactly. So I just wanted to focus a bit also on the go-to-market strategy, that you also get a bit more insights how we see the market and the market split. And please also feel free to put in questions in between, but we can also do it in the end. So the go-to-market strategy itself, the first step for us is now, after we achieved our product market fit in the last year, we want really to be the dominant player in the market in the micromobility and the car sharing. So we are focusing on operators using SaaS from our competition, but also newly launching operators in micromobility on the one side. On the other side, in car sharing, various operators from municipalities operating these fleets in smaller but also bigger cities, car sharing operators in general, but also car sharing operators in rural areas and real estate fleets. So this is our main focus that we want also to achieve now with this within the next 18 months. Why actually this strategy? Because we know these markets very well. They're highly growing markets. It's a very good niche where we can grow very fast. And where we also have, for example, what I've mentioned before, the maintenance tools that are standalone, where we can just simply attach it. In the micromobility, for example, we go to a player somewhere in Paris and we can give him as a first step, only the maintenance tools, make an integration to his platform. Even if he's using a SaaS competition from ours, we do once the integration and we can support every SaaS competitor platform. He starts with the maintenance tools, and then he can also take over the whole platform when he gets trust, and we can grow in that direction. With the Series B, so after the 18 months when we start raising a Series B, we see a huge opportunity also in a micromobility to target the scale-ups. I'm talking here about Lime, Bird, and the big players on the market, because we see there are also big opportunity as soon as they can really focus on the aspects they want to focus, and this is governmental topics to get city licenses and operations. We can also help them to regain focus on the tech side, like we've mentioned before, but also other market verticals like vehicle subscriptions, with a huge opportunities with operators, for example, lending vehicles in ride hailing, but others, corporate fleets, of course, where you have traditional leasing that should transform also to a shared model, but also like shared company fleets, and in general also, last but not least, the digital rental market. Exactly. To the competition of goUrban. So we see our competitive advantage that we are not as hardwired business as our competitors are, but we have built a very flexible and scalable solution. We actually encouraging our clients that they start building in-house tech, but really only on the points that matter for them, so that they can save costs and be very fast. This on the one side. On the other side, we can also give to them through this flexibility in the focus that they can try out easily multiple use cases. For example, like we support already cars, mopeds, kick scooters, we support booking systems, so they can easily just, without any R&D effort, just, for example, put some cars on the streets. We have one client of ours like putting now, for example, just 30 cars on the streets and testing out the model. This is something that where we can provide a lot of flexibility and opportunities to operators out there. On the competition side, there are various out there. So we have direct competitors as the SaaS platform. We have the biggest ones, I would say, are Wunder, Vlog, Rightcell. Rightcell you probably know from San Francisco. And then we have Indirect, who are in the market, but not really competing directly with us. Our USPs, when we also talk to various leads, but those existing clients that we've closed, is we've seen that we can provide way more modularity that we've mentioned before, so that they can really focus and take the parts they need and start building on top. So we are very flexible in this matter, and we are, like I've said before, encouraging really the operators to, when they reach a certain size, start building in-house and consult them there. And on the other side, we have also speed, because we've seen also this is a very big lever. We have a second office in Serbia, Novi Sad, where we can very fast get very good talent and scale the company in a higher speed than our competitors can. This is also shown very from advantage in the last couple of years and months. As this is a bit more a public presentation, so we've started like a bit with the numbers. I am more than happy to provide you with more detailed numbers. If you have any questions later on, I can send you through the more details after the presentation if you share the email with me, either on Slack or via email. In general, we had numbers of growth. In the last year, our revenue grew by 415%. So we had like a huge growth there, and we're expecting this year the same growth. On the MRR side, we had a growth of 257%. So also there we hit our targets, and the growth should even be faster this year. Our month-over-month growth at the moment is around 23%. And on the sales side, we're getting, without like, important to know is that before we now started fundraising for the next round, we focused very much on the product, and we've invested on purpose while our competitors have invested more in marketing and sales. We've really focused to get our product market fit right, that we get our product in the right direction. And these numbers came, like we managed to get these numbers without any professional sales setup and marketing effort. And this is something we now changed. And this is what's from this month and the next months will change drastically also in our company, where we will put way more focus into this direction too. To the founders of goUrban, on the one side, it's of course me, Bojan. On the other side, it's also my co-founder, Jonathan. With him, we started the company actually already in 2016. And what made us special and what also showed for us, where we got like a lot of experience and understanding for our market, was that we had our own sharing service in Vienna. So we started actually as an electric moped sharing in Vienna, where we were one of the first in Europe. And then out of this, actually, we started to develop also our software, because all the other platforms we have used back then didn't provide what we actually needed. So we developed something by ourselves, and then more and more operators were starting asking us about this, and then we decided to pivot and to build the operating system. So we stopped our service in Vienna, but still it gave us a lot of understanding for the market. We know what it means to swap batteries. We know what it means to maintain such a fleet. We understand the challenges way better with that on the one side. On the other side, we had also the achievements that we've managed also to get strongly growing clients in the last year, and we kept the pace with them together. So we grew our tech team while they were growing, and we became actually fully profitable. And this is something that is very rarely on the market, that we can operate profitable. On the other side, we also managed kind of to keep the whole platform still together, because with our competitors, we've also seen that when the operator reached a certain size, they couldn't manage to support them in the right way, provide the flexibility, and then they just started building something in-house. And this is for us one of our big achievements in the last year. In general, we are right now at 36 employees, but every month they're getting more as we can grow together with our clients. On the other side, we have less expenses, and through a smart setup of the whole company, and we've achieved more than 2.9 million rentals over our system, which will grow drastically in the next couple of months and years. Right now, we are raising 2 million for the next step, so that we can scale our team to around 100 employees, roughly, and that we can enter the market, like I've said before, in a go-to-market in micromobility and car sharing way more aggressively than we have done till now, and to get a solid market share there and prepare the next steps also in the product, where we can basically build together like the marketplace solution, and even provide even more modularity to the big operators. So now I've talked a lot.
Well, thanks a lot for that. That was really great, and you must be a little more awake than the rest of us over in Dubai. So I appreciate you starting the day and coming on with us. Do we have any questions from the audience? We have a few minutes before I want to turn it over to our next presenter, but I would like a chance to talk to the audience. If you have a question, we're going to make this very informal, so just unmute yourself and you can jump right in. I'm going to allow 20 seconds of awkward silence until I ask my own question here, unless someone wants to jump in here.
This is Clay Phillips. I'll play, calling in from Michigan. Simple question. What do you find the biggest obstacle to customer acquisition? Why does a potential customer say no?
I think the two obstacles, like what we've also learned is we have also to talk a lot to our customer, like potential lead, to really understand if we are actually the right match for him. So the biggest obstacle of them saying no is, on the one side, either they're too small and not thinking big enough. So they're very price sensitive when they're super small. This is on the one side. The bigger ones, it's all about trust, and they need really to, because you're becoming the core of their operations. And we've also learned there to generate way more trust from the very beginning, really understanding the problems, the operations, in which direction they're going, and to support them there in the right way. But this is for sure the biggest obstacles for them, saying no in the beginning. And I think every operator in the beginning has this big question: should I get something ready on the market and be fast, or should I do something in-house?
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Clay, appreciate that. Anyone else want to jump in here with another question? Calling once, going twice. If not, all right, Bojan, thank you so much for your time this evening. Really appreciate you kicking off our day today.
For sure. Thank you also for inviting me over.
All right, wonderful, thanks.